Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about religion, life, and some questions that my friend Joseph wants to ask me. Now, he's going to ask me these questions, and I'm basically going to tell my point of view on these different topics. So feel free to comment and like below. So, okay, Joseph, let's get started.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's Joseph. I have a few questions for my buddy. He's very wise in this aspect, so I figured I can be myself and ask whatever I like because he's a friend. All right. Since I seen the way you do your own thing, you know what I mean? I'm very inspired because no matter what, you live in your own bubble, but you know how to step out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you want to. That's freaking badass.
Yeah,
because not a lot of people know how to do that shit. So I've come here being a student since I know you doing your own thing, and I'm barely going through that concept. Not saying like how you did, but in my own way.
Your own spiritual path.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my thing was that I wanted to come today. I wanted to talk to you. There's more at the board, but right now I want to talk about religion.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, like, what is religion to you? And
okay, I guess we'll start out with that. Religion to me is what it was always meant to be. Is your beginning upon a spiritual path. It was never meant to be a system in which priests tell you what you have to believe or their interpretations of any given scripture. It has to do with your understanding of everything that is, your relationship to the multiverse, and where you are on the path to realizing your true potential, which is the spirit beyond creation. That which is the source, that which is where we all came from, and that which we are ultimately a part of. And it is only illusion and delusion that influence us into thinking that we are separate from one another or anything else.
yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
I guess we can go to the next one.
Okay, the next one is, and why is that? Why do you think that it's very honorable that you can say, basically?
I've come to my beliefs through a long process of studying different religions, reading different books, going through different pieces of suffering in my life that I've basically used to my advantage. Now, using suffering is one half of the spiritual path. Whatever you've gone through, truly gaze upon it with perspective. Learn how to truly look at what has happened to you and become the person that will not be affected by the problems that you have. Become the person to where you don't rely on other people when it comes to spirituality. Emotionally, of course you can have emotional connections to people, but become a person where you're self-fulfilled in your own path, in your own spiritual path. So I went through different religions, I went through different spiritual understandings, and I really just soaked in as much knowledge as I could. And I decided, okay, this makes sense for my personal path. This makes sense for my own perspective on other people's path.
Yes.
And then once everything starts to coalesce,
yes,
you're far more likely to find other spiritual people, and you're far more likely to be able to walk your own spiritual path when you take in knowledge from different sources. It's not about just taking it from one book or a series of books. It's about taking it from the very essence of your own understanding and deciding when you look at the different pieces of knowledge, whether it be different Christian scriptures or Muslim or pagan or heathen or Eastern beliefs like Buddhism and Hinduism, or different occult beliefs like the Eastern and Western occult, you look at it as if they are all different lessons that you're creating your own lesson plan through.
Okay.
And you're teaching yourself how to walk the line between all things. And then that line, once you coalesce all this different knowledge, when you walk upon it, that becomes your spiritual path. And that's how basically I did it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Alrighty, well, next question will be, what made you think how that happened to you for you to look upon those sources?
Basically, for a long time, I wanted to die. And now this is from the age of 15 to, 14, 15, through the age of maybe 18, 19. I did not want to live upon this earth because this earth really felt like an insane place because nobody wanted to collaborate with one another. Nobody really cared about what each other believed. And nobody really tried to understand who they were. They just accepted what has been given to them, whether from their parents, from their society, from
they
their...
don't want to question it, basically.
Yeah, they don't
want to go from what every generation has done.
They want to carry on what their parents told them without actually trying to be and realize themselves as an individual.
Yes.
So I got here through understanding that I am my own individual, and in order to understand my own soul, my own path, I have to be open to as many paths as possible. And then taking in all that knowledge, I started to realize that the conception that I had of myself, the idea that I just don't fit in with this world, and it's painful, and I want to leave it. I want to die.
Because it makes you feel lost that you don't have nobody else, and it makes you sometimes question yourself, like, am I crazy?
Yes, and then that's when you bring in the strength you draw from different spiritual paths, different spiritual understandings. You draw in the strength, and you make yourself as a spiritual individual, because you don't start out with something that you have to follow. You have to come into it.
Yeah.
So you combine all the things that you've gazed upon, that you've learned, that you've tried to understand, and you become the path that becomes you. And what this means is that when it comes down to us as individual souls, we have to realize we're still a part of the multiverse. We're still a part of we're still a part of spirits. We're still a part of gods. We're still a part of the grand whole.
We all come from different essence, no matter what. We go back.
Yes, but we're all a part of the same thing. And once you start out alone, and you feel like you're alone, you feel like there's nobody else like me. And then the more that you learn, the more that you practice, the more that you meditate, the more magic you do, the more connected to the spirits and gods you become. That's when you start to realize my existence actually matters. My existence is actually necessary for everything else to exist. Nothing and nobody exists I don't want to say just by accident, because everything seems like an accident, but really, everything is a vital part. So really, no matter how long you live, no matter what you learn, no matter who you become, you are a vital part of the multiverse.
No matter what, like, check this out. Not to interrupt you or anything like that, but it's like, you're a sperm, right?
Yeah.
How many sperms are there fighting for you to get to the egg, right?
Exactly.
Millions and millions and millions.
But you were always meant to succeed.
Yes, sir.
And then everything is a part of a grander experience, and now each of our individual parts feels like it's random. Mm-hmm. But as we get closer and closer to realizing our spiritual nature, we accept that, okay, I'm supposed to be here right now. I'm supposed to be doing this right now. I'm supposed to be following this path. And then once you get to that point, that's when the true spiritual journey begins.
Yes.
That's when you start to walk the path that you were always meant to walk.
That's how I feel like I'm doing right now. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get in contact with you, see your side of your perspective. Basically.
After all this time.
Yes, sir. And finally realize that, you know what? I'm not lost too. Maybe it might be different for me, but it's exactly what you're saying as well.
You're meant to be at the spot that you are.
Yes, sir.
And that gives a certain amount of freedom. That gives a certain amount of protection, because, okay, you're supposed to, wherever you are, you're supposed to be there. Use it. Use wherever you are. If you feel pain, if you suffer, if you go through hardship, you're meant to, because you're meant to use that as a kindling, basically, to spark your own soul's connection to everything else. It's like a positive forest fire, where your own little spark starts this little flame, and then that flame connects to all the other flames throughout the forest.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. People will notice and stuff that read like vibes like us.
Yeah.
They will notice that, bro. There's sometimes people say, "Hey, there's something about you that I see like I feel pleasant."
Yeah.
Bro, exactly from your perspective. Hell yes.
Because there's a natural instinct with human beings that they know when they're feeling something that is metaphysical. So like when you connect with another spiritual person, or when you start to realize something spiritual or metaphysical, you feel that feeling of deja vu. And it's like it's already happened. But really, the future and the past, they all exist in the moment. And everything that we're supposed to experience, everything that we will experience in this entire life, can be understood in the moment. And time, soul, God, the gods, spirits, whatever you want to call it, is all trying to teach us that there is no point beyond ourselves that we cannot reach. We can become greater. We can become a part of what we came from. And the fact is, we already are. We just have to realize it. That's when deja vu kicks in. That's when spirituality starts to really gain some footing in a person's life. You start to have these experiences of deja vu over and over again. And you start to realize time isn't a collection of random
Time
moments.
is really relevant. That's when people say you guys are always in a rush, but it's because of this conspiracy at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4. That's
Haste
what
makes waste, man.
Yeah, it makes it seem like the 24 hours in a day is not too much, but bro, if you really like how they used to do it back in the day, how they used to read, I don't know.
Yes, and it's, you know, and the great thing is, when we start to realize who we truly are as an individual, we have less fear of being alone. Because a lot of people accept the beliefs that they accept because they're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of being isolated from their society.
That's true. That's true.
And
they live in the social. No, they live in
the past. They live in what has been given to them.
In the cyber world. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
They're so caught up in the cyber world that they fucking forget that there's an actual fucking real world going on.
And what happens when the internet goes down?
Exactly.
That's when you have to look at yourself. What happens when when the lights go off, the internet goes down, there is no TV, there's no internet. You have to truly look at yourself.
That being said, it's like, no disrespect to the Instagram people or the ones that try to do models, but imagine if that goes down, where are they going to be at? Nowhere.
Exactly, because their entire existence is caught up in how people view them.
Yes.
And
bro, there's some people that don't even look like what they look online, and when you see them in reality, you're like, what the fuck?
And then they stretch the truth as much as possible in order to seem like they are what everybody wants to see.
Yes.
And then when they do that, you're really lost yourself. That's why you have to be as honest with yourself and other people as possible as to who you are. I can't tell you how many times on Facebook or YouTube people have been like, oh, I heard this practice was evil, this religion or that religion or their spiritual belief is evil. You know, what are you doing? But when I start talking to these people, I start to realize that they're only regurgitating what those around them have said. And in and of themselves, they really haven't focused on finding who they are as an individual. Yeah. And that's what we're here to do. That is what we're here to do. We're here to really find our soul and to embrace that soul and to walk forward, get closer to the source, closer and closer to the source of all things.
That being said, you're talking about soul. Yeah. We're gonna go on to the next one, if that's possible.
Just one question. Let's actually cut this video and then we'll make another one in a minute. But hey, thank you very much for watching. I hope all of you find yourself. And feel free to shoot down any likes or comments in the comment section below. And I will see all of you in a minute.